Welcome to QueAquatics and Exotics. My name's Suzy, and today we're going to be talking a little bit more in detail is what am I going to feed my axolotls once they start hatching. I'm going to have to feed them live food, and I am not very well versed in the live foods in the aquatic world. So I'm going to go to my friend Gary. He's going to give me some paramecium on up. So we're going to have all different size live foods. Plus, I'm about to start making a batch of baby brine shrimp as well. So let's see what Gary has to say.
So come along with me, it's SuzyQue. Hey.
I'm on my way to my friend Gary's house, and he's also a fellow Bucks County Aquarium Society member. I cannot wait to hear what he has to say about live foods. We're going to jump right in with Gary talking about 4 different kinds of live cultures.
Infusoria, paramecium. If you look at it under your microscope, you'll see paramecium. And that's just, they're eating off the lettuce, or they're just going to be organic feeders, and they'll kind of keep forever. Occasionally you can drain a little water out and put more in, but I would put this into a half gallon or an old orange juice, a little larger container.
Okay.
And just add
Water.
non-chlorinated water to it. And then periodically you'll drop a piece of lettuce into it.
How do I harvest it?
That's always a question. You just take a squirt of it and squirt it in the tank.
Okay.
You can try
And they'll find it.
Yes, they definitely will find it.
So can you keep something like that in a fish tank, or the smell would be bad?
In a fish tank, it would
Like I have a 2.5 gallon fish tank.
with fish? Or
No,
just-
no, there's no
Yes,
fish
you
in
could
it.
keep it in a fish tank.
Okay.
You could keep it in a fish tank.
So does it need this, or I should put saran wrap on top of it?
My paramecium is in a gallon jar with a loose lid.
Oh, okay.
These are vinegar eels. Again, if you were to go to a pickle barrel, you would find these eels in many cases. You can visually see these with the naked eye, but again, you could put them under the scope and
Okay.
you're going to be visual.
And the same thing, just pull them out and the vinegar is okay in water?
Yes and no, depending on what you're keeping.
Right.
The other way you can do it is these, you can use a very fine brine shrimp net or even finer.
Okay.
Okay, but they're going to be towards the top.
Okay.
You'll understand.
Beautiful.
Okay. This is 50% apple cider vinegar, 50% clean, non-chlorinated water.
Can I use RODI water?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. And when you get home, I don't have any here, but I would drop a piece of apple in the bottom.
Okay.
You could use brown sugar. I find apple works better.
Okay.
Vinegar eels, it's hard to kill vinegar eels. I've had gallon jugs of vinegar eels that I've had
Okay.
a year, 2 years, whatever. Okay, my vinegar eels, I can either keep in a gallon jar or a jar, again, loose lid.
Okay.
And occasionally I'll open
And
it.
that is the 50-50.
Yes, 50% apple cider vinegar and 50% water.
Okay.
And you're going to see different people talk about different ratios. Some say it's a little less or whatever.
Well, you didn't add anything to the vinegar. So
No.
the worms are already in vinegar?
No, I started with a cold tray.
Okay.
Some people say if you drop an apple into cider vinegar, you're going to get worms. I don't always see
I was
that.
going to say, that's disgusting because I drink apple cider
Well,
vinegar once in a while, and I
Maybe
don't want to think
you
that.
may think it. But if you see an old pickle barrel in the deli, we used to go in and scrape the sides, and that's where we got our worms from.
Really?
Back in the day. Today, a little more hygiene than we were back then. But
Right.
these are microworms. And this is just a slurry. In this case, it's finely ground oatmeal. Okay, you'll be able to see these moving across the surface. And again, you can just take a small little dab of these and stir them right in the water.
Okay. It won't cloud up the water.
Cloud up the water now. And then for microworms, you'll see this in a day or two. You'll start to see movement in the top.
And literally just put my finger in and then swirl it
They'll
around?
actually crawl up the sides. You can go
Oh,
up the
okay.
sides and do it, or you can literally take it right off the top.
Okay.
And everybody gets crazy about making the material. And what I do is I simply take oatmeal, regular oatmeal, put it in a coffee grinder, And then all I do is
Oh, it's like an oatmeal flour.
it's
Wow.
just making it flat.
And that doesn't create moths.
No. And then
Oh.
there's your material to make more.
And they just come, but you have to have a culture.
Oh, you have a culture.
Okay.
They're feeding on this.
Okay.
This you want to keep. But this is
So you got this.
This is just baby oatmeal. You can use instant mashed potatoes.
Okay.
Some people have used flour. I think flour cake's too tight. And you just mix this with water
Till it's a paste.
till it's a paste. And if you're starting your culture for the first time, you can put a few grains of yeast in there.
Okay.
But the yeast will carry over from
And this is your culture.
Yeah. So if you look closely, you'll see the surface moving ever so a little bit.
Oh,
See
yeah.
it? Yep, right. They're the worms. They're really, really, really tiny, and they're hard to see. And I've disturbed this, but if it wasn't disturbed, your surface is almost vibrating.
Okay. Wow.
And then occasionally you just thin out your, start a new culture and take a little teaspoon of this or quarter teaspoon, throw it in. And then finally,
These are the white worms.
these are the white worms.
And this is the largest of the live food here?
Yes. So you can see the worms there, the size of the worms.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot in there that are down in the soil. So if you put a piece of plastic on top and put food on the plastic, they'll crawl up over the plastic for it. But
Okay.
I just take little bits of worms and throw them in. So you can see them, you can get them, whatever. This is cocoa fiber, but you can use any potting soil at all. And you keep it moist, wet, but not running.
Okay.
Okay.
I have lots of cocoa fiber from my reptiles.
You're going to want to puncture the lid for air holes. And I don't worry about the vinegar eels as much, but you can. Again, air,
Puncture air in that one?
you can puncture air. This will smell
Okay.
from time to time. But same with this, I'm going to give it air. And when I do that, I puncture the hole and take batting or polyester fiber put in, because flies will get in here.
Oh, I don't want that.
And again, flies are not going to hurt the fish.
So you're not worried about the worms getting out, you're worried about flies getting in.
Yeah. So that's why you'll see here, all I did was puncture holes and push some polyester fiber through it
Okay.
for air.
And how long is that good for? Like, where do you store that?
On the shelf. All of these are stored on the shelf.
Okay.
Ambient room temperatures. None of them do well in excess heat.
Okay.
So, especially your larger worms, they like cooler. Infusoria, the paramecium, will sour faster in warmer weather. You must remember that with anything you're feeding, you got to watch the pH of your tank, because any of these could, do that. And when you're looking at any live food, there is contamination. So using things like aquarium water, hydra, things like that will compete with different animals.
Okay.
So I do use rainwater, but treated tap water, just simple stuff.
Okay.
So these are very basic cultures. Paramecium going to be smaller, vinegar eels neck size. Your microworms, and then your white worms or grindle worms are going to be larger. And of course, you have red wigglers and earthworms and things of this sort. So
Now this would be good for rainbow fish eggs that just
they
hatch.
say everybody has a different story on what they think they're fun. I'm not going to tell you which live food is better for others. You have to do what works for you. None of these are complete and balanced diet. All of these are not meant to be fed as a sole food. A complete and balanced diet, such as a flake or a pellet or a prepared food, is certainly a better way to go for the health of the fish for long term. These are going to be missing amino acids. These are going to be missing vitamins and minerals. The worms, obviously, we can gut load because of the pellets we put in there, and that helps. But I do not consider any of these complete and balanced diets. Many of your worms, vinegar eels or nematode, parameciums, microworms, they're going to be eating what they're eating, and some things are better than others. Some people will say mix spirulina. Some people will say different things to gut load them in certain ways. They're going to be fatty. Many of your worms are going to be fatty.
Okay.
So they're going to be high in fat, but poor in vitamins.
Okay.
And poor in a balanced diet. So the other thing about live foods is you can get fish up to interest. I like blackworms. Many fish look at blackworms almost as if a treat or candy. Fish that are not eating well or fish that are sick will often be enticed by live foods, either by movement or by taste. Certainly the fish are enticed. And as you look at it and you say, my fish are sick, my fish aren't doing well, live foods often get them on, then get them back onto the properly complete and balanced diets of a flake food or pellet food from a reputable supplier, a reputable source. And obviously I'm biased with the API foods because I know it's in them, but complete and balanced has a meaning.
Okay.
So any freeze-dried food like a shrimp or a krill, incomplete.
Okay. And it will not say that, though. They can't say it on the label, complete
Legally,
and
if they
balanced.
say complete and balanced, they have to be able to prove it
Okay.
to the government or agencies in charge if challenged, and they should have that data. So, but I know these are not complete and balanced.
Okay.
I guarantee that.
Okay. But they'll work. I mean, to keep them alive for a little bit.
You can get somebody very fat
Okay.
and unhealthy. So you got to keep that in mind.
Okay.
So you don't want to overfeed these things because fatty foods like worms will make a fish complete in fat, but it won't make it healthy. Okay.
Got it. Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
That was awesome. I could listen to Gary all day. Thank you so much, Gary, for the information on the live cultures. Now that I have them all set up, let's see what I can feed my axolotls. So thanks for checking this out, guys, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, everybody, it's SuzyQue. Hey, everybody, it's SuzyQue. Nah, hey, everybody, it's SuzyQue. So come along with me. Said I'm SuzyQue.